Okay. All right, so I'd like to, before we start our regular meeting of the Board of Directors, we'd like to report out on our special meeting of the Board of Directors. We had 2 agenda items, and we took no action on those items at this time. Do I need to announce what the agenda was?
Technically, you're supposed to.
Okay, then I'll technically announce it. We had a conference with our legal counsel about anticipated litigation. We took no action. Item B, we had a conference with our labor negotiator, and we took no action. Did I do it right?
Close enough.
Okay.
Supposed to read it. I know. But
All right, so let's go ahead and open our regular meeting of the Board of Directors for Tuesday, May 9th. And Joanne, if you could give us a roll call.
Yes, Director Coverdell?
Here.
Vice President Feldman?
here.
Director Glassberg?
Here.
Director Michelson?
And
President
here.
Reynolds, thank you.
Excellent. Pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Videos.
Very good. Do we have any public comments? Dave, it looks like you're looking for a plug.
Yeah, we're not getting that's because it's the USB. You're looking for a USB cable?
No, I'm looking for a wire. Probably somebody else was using it. Oh, we don't have any input.
Do you think it's one of these over here? I'm going to jiggle a wire.
Did I do something with my back?
It's this one. What's this? It's that black wire right there, Dave.
Yeah, that's the HDMI.
Isn't that the one for the TV?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Go ahead, you don't need to.
Okay. Do we have any items that directors wish to remove or comment on for the consent calendar?
Move to approve the consent calendar.
All right. And
Oh, I wanted to report that I reviewed the financial statements, petty cash and the credit card,
okay.
and I found them all to be in order.
All right. Very good. I'll second the consent calendar. You want a roll
read it or
call?
you good?
Sure. Director Coverdell?
Yes.
Vice President Feldman?
Yes.
Director Glassberg?
Aye.
Director Michelson?
And aye.
President
All right.
Reynolds, thank you.
Did any directors attend any meetings or have directors' comments which they wish to share?
You want to talk about the Recycle Water Committee meeting?
Oh, that was an interesting meeting.
Okay. You don't?
They can't even get the sewage to the plant, so what is there to treat?
Well, I thought it was kind of cool because with the close link up between the water main and the sewer main, I wondered if there couldn't maybe be a, treatment condition right there.
I think it is important that
I'd like to hear
the
it.
rest of the board know that we did have a meeting with the recycle committee, and I think that Ken expressed it very well in the ball is now, Ken and I feel firmly in the court of the city.
And that's good.
And that I was really pleased that we came out of that meeting with,
City?
yeah.
Sam?
Well, Sam and Sam seemed to be backpedaling pretty hard that the city was the heavy lift.
Oh.
Maybe I'm wrong. Did I misinterpret that? All right.
I think so. The thing that's important is we have drafted terms that need to be met for us to come to the point of a contract. And those terms have been with Sam in whatever form you want to see that play out. And they have not really responded to us. And I don't think we've received response yet, have we?
We haven't received a response. So our board passed those on February 14th, and we sent them over to Sam. They appeared on a public agenda in April, I think. And they had agendized at their meeting last night a closed session to talk about recycled water agreement terms.
Oh, okay.
And it was interesting,
Closed
they
session.
were
Close.
They do everything in
Listing.
closed session.
as, there was also commentary in the newspaper, did you see, from Clay?
Missed that one.
About wondering why they felt they could hold those meetings in closed session. There was some commentary. But the interesting thing in our meeting was that it was the first time that there wasn't a lot of rebuking and attacking and all that sort of stuff. And I couldn't tell if it was because they were concerned about their dilemma at Arroyo and Medio or if they just hadn't really addressed it. But we were shocked because, in fact, for 2 months, these things have been on the table. And yet we're constantly being requested to move quickly, and why aren't we, getting this thing done, and blah, blah, blah. So I think it's positive because, in fact, it's our very next step, which we told them about 7 or 8 years ago, and then told them about 2 years ago, and keep telling them about. It's our agreement. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens next.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to me how many people talk in those meetings that don't really bring any change in the conversation. We just kind of hear a lot of conversation, and it goes on and on. Mary was there, and, you just have to, like, kind of wonder when we're going to get to it. The fascinating part is they're convinced that, based on this report from SRT, that this thing will be built for around 5.5, was that sort of a total I was saying? And, if in fact we were willing for, the one customer to be the deal, it looks like there is a deal, or a potential deal.
So SRT was doing with the 50%,
25.
25% plan, they've completed that?
Yes.
And that's the result, was
Yep.
5.5 million or whatever?
Yeah, it's about 5.5 million.
Yeah, the numbers work according to what, all the discussion.
Have we
There-
seen that report?
Yeah, that was the interesting thing, is it had been out for a couple of weeks, but we got it when we showed up at the meeting,
Right.
The SRT report? So,
Yeah.
so have
Well,
we
no, the
had?
day before, did
They
we?
published it in the
think the day
public agenda for the meeting.
Yeah. And I think we got it, I think
Oh,
I
and it's
saw it the day
online.
before.
They
It is
put it on their
online,
website, so it is
They have a
online.
very comprehensive set of documents on their website under samcleanswater.org, recycled water.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because there are aspects of the proposal that you could ask a lot of questions about. You know,
Have we brought up peer review?
We went through those discussions, but, we couldn't even laminate onto the SRT 25% suggestion with our request, which was, could you also analyze what it would take or cost to go to fully treated water,
RO.
full RO.
So this is not including RO?
It is including RO, but not
For
for the
blended.
full production of the sewer plant.
Okay.
It's partial to meet the demands of one single customer. And the question we have asked is, of SRT, is how much would it cost to treat all the wastewater out of the plant?
And they won't do it. They've actually suggested that they shouldn't do it, that we should find our own consultant, which is fine with me. I don't have a problem with that, but I think that's something that we may want to agendize and discuss. And I don't know, we talked about in our planning session having a sort of a water futures meeting, and I don't know if that's on our schedule or,
Yeah, we put it on.
yeah.
Mary and I were talking about that, yes.
So I think it'd be really good for us to take that step and really get in a position where we feel strongly about how we're gonna deal with it. But interesting meeting.
Yeah, sounds like it.
When was the meeting?
Oh, what was it, 2 weeks ago?
Sounds like it was very.
But Ken really summarized it very correctly, that it was the most amenable. We said, hey, where's the response? And we got we're working on it, we'll get back to you. And it was nice to not have any acrimony, and it was just, we're working on it. So it's either, like, as Ken said, the calm before the storm, or good sailing.
Sounds like the committee is doing a good job.
I think it's really Glenn
okay.
because they like him.
They like
And he runs the meeting, so it's nice. Yeah, so I think that's really a statement.
No, it's good.
Yeah, that's great.
And Dave loves attending. And Mary, I mean, it's like top of your schedule, right?
Yeah. We try not to wince. All right, any other meetings?
Sorry to be so long.
I had, I know, once a year, CEO or general manager, or whatever her title is, at Bosco tries to meet with the representatives. So I met with Nicole and their strategic counsel, Bud Wendell, one-on-one here. Just, you know, when you're one-on-one, you can have a more candid conversation as opposed to when the microphones are on. You know, just about really what is really going on, you know, with Bosco. And because I know there is some concern that, you know, they're not aggressive enough, and, you know, and we're not getting the bang for the buck. And my feeling is, you know, coming in and having been on Bosco as long as I have, I see what they really do, and there's a lot to be done out there. I mean, and certainly we talked about it as our retreats, and I see a summation here in our board pack. Threats. I mean, and there are legitimate threats out there. I mean, the Restore Hetchy group, you know, keeps getting beat up in the courts, but boy, they're not going away. They're well funded and they keep coming back, and that is a threat. And they have Hanson and Bridget on that one, right? So we're spending money there. The Bay Delta plan, I mean, again, big threat. I don't know what our per person per day usage is here, but if, you know, Governor Brown is looking for a legacy. I mean, he's terming out of his 4th term now. He's looking for a legacy, and it's going to be water conservation in stone, and it's going to be, you know, we're struggling to get by on 570 million so gallons in sale. Well, if they, you know, their goal is to drive us down to, you know, the 50 gallons per person per day. I don't know what the math is, but it's going to be, we're going to be selling a lot less, you know, our agencies across California are going to be selling a lot less water. So that's a serious threat, and, you know, in the very, very near future, we're going to have some, you know, the water restrictions are not going away. You know, despite the snowpack, you know, a record year, we're still going to see some very strict water conservation in our future, and it's going to be permanent. So Bosco is working on those, and there's obviously, you know, lobbying going on and speaking to our legislators, and, you know, getting people, you know, the California economy, it's probably up to 6 again, I would guess, 6th largest economy in the world. But we need water to keep that economy going. So my feeling is, you know, is once again that they're doing a good job for us. So that was what I had to report out.
Good, thank you. Bob, anything?
No.
Okay, all right. Move on to general business.
So the first item is our budget timeline, and we, after last month's meeting, we sent out the 218 notice on the 19th, and we published it in a review on the 26th and the 3rd. We also had an outreach on constant contact with information regarding our meetings and the 218 notice. So as we were winding down, we took off having a finance committee meeting this month, if, you know, because as of last month, we were saying we really didn't think we needed one, but I want to make sure there's nothing, you know, if anybody would like us to put it back on, but, you know, at this point, we're looking forward to June 13th for the public hearing on the rate increase. So that said and done. The next one is our budget, our draft budget, and our capital improvement plan. Yes.
He's first number.
Bob, what you got?
Have we heard anything from the public regarding the increase in terms of missives aside
It's
from
pretty
this
exciting
one?
stuff.
Yeah. No, I know that, but others besides this is the only one we've seen so far?
We've received 6.
Okay,
Can we pass them around?
Yeah.
please?
that's all. I'm just trying to find out what the nature of them. And then at the next meeting, when we do this in real time, they're attached to the,
Yes.
okay, fine. You actually put them in the packet. Okay, you answered my question. You got 6 plus the sum of the
No,
people
that's
on.
including.
Oh, is
Oh,
that?
it's
Okay,
included.
thank you.
What did we get last year, 45?
Yeah, it
50?
was high last year.
Or, yeah, somewhere in that range.
Somewhere in the
that
40s?
30, well, I think it's 30, I think it's in the 30s.
30s?
Well, it's not, we're not there yet.
I'm actually really surprised we got 6 out of this, because I thought this was a pretty handsome job in keeping it low.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you.
So or going on to the budget, I have these are the same slides that you've seen, basically, with little changes, but except pictures. So if we
Pretty pictures?
we have some new pictures. Actually, this is a new picture, including map.
I would like to just add
Yeah.
that because we do this repeatedly
Yeah,
in the
it is.
interest of
Yes.
openness and giving public an opportunity
Right.
to interact with us, a lot of it is the same, but it's really helpful, like at the bottom of the page where you said, these are the changes since our last meeting.
Yeah.
So that's really helpful, thank you.
Yeah. So basically, with our operations budget, we have not made any changes. And you could go to the next slide. I mean, basically,
sure.
if you see the big, our operating expense budget is basically the same as what we had, last year's budget. And, the big change is the increase in debt service in terms of our costs. And then we are, and, I mean, you could probably flip through some of these, unless, does anybody have any specific questions on anything with the budget?
Wait, let me look.
Okay, so then the next one, talking about the capital improvement program, we do have some pictures that I'd like to share that
We have-
just emphasize.
No, that's capital improvement.
That just, actually, just to show you some of the things that we are, working on. These are recent pictures of the Denniston Booster pump station. We've basically completed the Bridgeport pipeline. We actually adjusted some of the PRVs today, but it is a very, so we've, this is moving on. It should be completed by the end of June. So, then this is another scene just before we talk about the budget. This is today, where we actually installed a new pump at Crystal Springs. The motor at Crystal
Hope it
Springs.
lasts longer than the last one.
So it's our capital at work. So anyway.
Going back to the Bridgeport
Yes.
project, were we expecting a change in water pressure in that area because of the work that we're doing there?
Yes. And we actually, we're adjusting that today. The bridge, the way that it's configured now allows us to lower the pressure in Clipper Ridge, and it's now like 90 PSI in Clipper Ridge.
Take away my thunder once again.
Sorry,
Joe,
Joe.
what's the pressure?
I can postpone my question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've,
Under
kind of
pressure.
taken that off the,
Getting real lippy as he gets close to retirement, you notice that?
yeah.
Just wait.
So yes, that's the idea, that we've reduced the pressure there. And Joe will talk about that further.
With the capital plan, we just made a few tweaks. One, we added 20,000 to place 2 valves in down at Ocean Colony near the Ritz-Carlton, so that we can isolate for leaks and we don't have to shut down the Ritz-Carlton, which happened last month.
Yeah, that's tacky.
So we added that. Backhoes are, we found out are a lot more expensive these days, so we increased that. We're moving up some of the replacement of our sampling station that we had planned one a year, but we really need to get those updated. The other issue is we're moving up a purchase of a spare motor because the one that we pulled out we're not able to fix it. So we really need to have a spare motor available, so we've moved it up. So, but we're still in this, in the 30 million amount for 10 years, 16, and, 16.5 for the 5-year CIP, so.
I had a question on the CIP, the very bottom item on the back of the page, of the fold-out page, Haslam's tank replacement, $30,000 for this year. Has that always been $30,000? Because I looked at that and said, wait, we're not going to replace the tank for $30,000, so it must be something else we're doing.
That's actually to potentially remove the tank.
Oh, right. I forgot
We
did
keep pushing
talk
it
about
out.
that. Yeah.
And part of this is understanding what we're going to do with Hazen's tank after we get the Denniston booster pump station in place. And, this question, do we need that tank or not in the
Redwood's
future?
worth a fortune.
That's a beautiful tank.
Yeah.
So now we'll be able to figure out whether we need it or not.
So, any other questions? More pictures. These are very recent pictures of the El Granada Tank 3 recoding project, taken just a couple weeks ago. A week ago. So you can get the, that's continuing to move forward. It's a long process, but we're targeting into June. Yeah, you're going to mention a few things when you
You're
get
going to
there.
present these pictures at the next meeting?
I can? Yes.
I'm just asking
Yeah,
whether
no,
it's
I
worthwhile.
think it's good to.
I think
show
it's
the-
good to show people where their money is
Yeah.
being spent.
Especially when you see the rusty tank that you're drinking from, kind of shows
You'll
why
see
we.
the El Granada
I
Tank
know.
3 in this week's newspaper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, again,
A
any,
neighbor took a picture and sent it to the review, so.
Oh, cool.
in the letter from one of the people on the rate increase, the low-income folks, like, the fact that we had this plan which effectively helped doesn't seem to make any connection with them. They don't have any insight into the zero-based thing, Again, I don't know how to do that without doing something that breaks rules and things, but that was the intent, and there's no way not to give them that information, I guess.
We'll talk about
That's
it
just
next time.
an observation, because it's the same group that we were trying somehow to be considerate of, and we did it legally and within the context of 218.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things you mentioned last month, and it's something we might want to talk about, is do we have a conversation with, the Galen, the person at
Yeah,
Leslie Farms, so.
I think the board acted appropriately on the information we presented. I think our rate consultant provided us with good information. And
Right.
we've funded the district and addressed some of the concerns. I don't think you're ever going to please.
Okay, well, I'm just,
I agree. I was disappointed in the group letter.
yeah.
The letter from the-
All I'm
from
saying
the
is it
administrator, but that's, I
did
guess,
not change anything.
next
And
agenda.
Is there no way to at least
Yeah.
present that communication? I'm, yeah, whatever.
Mm.
Even
Maybe next
offline,
month.
and,
Yeah.
you know.
They usually show up, so
They
maybe
show
next
up all
month.
the time, and they have for years, and so this is something we thought would be, within the context of all that we were allowed to do, helpful, but I don't think anybody understands that. They're
Welcome
not
to public
us, you know,
service.
they don't understand that. I didn't quite understand it either.
All right.
I
You
have
had a
one question about this
Yep.
project. Will
Go
this
ahead.
make a difference in water pressure? That's purely selfish question. Once it's done,
I'm trying.
No.
oh, too bad. All right.
No, it won't.
No.
You ever talk to the guy from Montero about the-
Okay.
So moving on with the financing plan, last month, we had HF&H here who helped, explain the financing, the model, and I've included a copy of their report.
Yep.
We, with that, the big, with our, with our plan, we're looking at a 5-year perspective. So we're trying to, we're averaging out the capital spend. And, they all, between our revenue, our operating expenses and capital needs, those all go into our revenue requirement. And, at this point, we're assuming that we're going to have a pay-as-you-go capital investment plan, so. We, the big, over the, last year, we talked about reserves, and, I think, we've made a lot of progress this year on, on our reserves. The push is really, we still, with the targeted reserves, we're looking at, what we want, 25% of our operating expenses, which is just 1.5 bill cycles. So if we, we need that just to pay our bills and make sure, we can pay our payroll. Plus our 100% of our annual debt service. Our debt service is 1.1 million now, and 900 of that falls into first quarter, which is a heavy hit for us that we really need to have up front going into the year. And then, we really would like to have our, 100% of our planned CIP for the upcoming year. So that we don't have to, think about delaying our capital until we get the, have the, money. And some of these, our capital programs require certain timing. We talk about even like, well, I don't want to steal any more. But, we're talking about, even things like, some things are dependent on even timing, like we can't, we only have certain windows of the year that we can do things, because of the environment, because of some, a frog or a murrelet, marbled murrelet or something, so.
Does the June meetings packet include the rate increase?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It isn't in there yet, so I'm just checking. It's in the next one.
In the next one. So just, I showed this last time, our shortfall is, if you look, is under the line where, we have to kind of catch up and meet our, our goals over the line for our reserves. And just one point, I do want to say, we looked at, we're looking at our neighbors on reserve balances, and I don't have a slide on it, but, if you look at, like Montera's reserves are literally double their operating revenue. You look at North Coast, you look at, Mid-Peninsula, their reserves are closer to what, an annual revenue requirement. So, we're not talking that we're flush, even in our target is flush with, with what our neighbors are in this, so.
And thank you for adding the prior year to the investment
Yeah.
report. Speaking of that, that really did help me.
Yeah. So, I don't know, the next slide, this is what we discussed last, our vision with having a 0% on the base rate and 5% on the quantity charge for next year, which equates into a 3.9% increase, and which was what our Prop 218 notice recommended. And again, it's hard to project out, but there is, with this look, there is hope that with more, with smaller rate increase, we'll have, we can be on track for having smaller rate increases over the next, several years, assuming no big, change with SFPUC or, some unfortunate happening, so.
Wow. That's gorgeous.
So the first one, it's not that great of a picture, but it is the diver going down, and last week, was it?
Yeah. To set
Yeah,
the,
Crystal Springs, yeah.
set the pump casing and shaft at the bottom of that 160-foot case off.
We used to have district employees do that, and we don't anymore.
Been
So,
there, done that.
We also, we also want to do it without having to de-water the entire pump station. That was tied in with our project that eliminated those air-operated valves in the tunnel underneath the lake. So it's all kind of connected with how we've been planning, this was the first, I think this was the first time we've set a pump with divers, right?
Correct.
Right, so we knew that we were going to have to do this when it was 3 or 4 years ago that we did our project to remove those valves and eliminate that, that regular need for anybody to go into the deep-water Crystal Springs intake tunnel.
How much did this diver cost us?
Not as much as you'd think.
Yeah, like
I
eight-
don't know the-
3,500, I think,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the,
yeah.
for the crew for the day.
Oh, that's not bad. I wouldn't do it.
Well, it gets lowered, what, 160 feet to the water, and then the water's 70?
No, 60 feet to the
60
water.
feet, and then the water's 170
Yeah.
feet deep or something like that. But his job is to guide the pump, which is 160 feet long, into the little foot that it sits in.
Watch your fingers.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exciting.
Yeah. Also, then we had our Bridgeport Drive.
Pressure reducing
Pressure,
valve.
yeah, PRV's installation, so anyway, lots of things happening.
Lots of stuff going on.
Yeah, so just to, as a reminder with, with the cost of service analysis, we, HF&H, 2 years ago came and they did a full cost of service analysis back for the 2015-16 budget, and the focus was really to comply with the requirements of Prop 218. And the April, 2015 appellate court case on, San Juan Capistrano. We, at that point in time, we implemented significant changes to our rate structure. If you can go on the next slide. So,
Multitask.
we engaged HF&H again, last year and this year, and they determined that the methodology that we used for the 2015-16 budget was still, applicable. We didn't have, really any, significant changes in expenses. Our decline in water sales were, across all classes, and the allocation of our capital funding was still consistent. So, they felt confident in that. I think going on further, the one, we also, with our base charge, proposal to go 0% on the base charge, they felt that, we can hold our base charge and where it is, and that we will still be, consistent with our cost of service analysis and our Prop 218 requirements, so. Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Ken.
I think that Bob makes a good point on the comment back to Leslie Garden residents. I just wonder if there can't be a sentence or two that really clarifies that that was very much a reaction to their request last time they came in and protested the rate increase. I mean, I don't really see that is anything other than helpful description of what's really going on, because it was an attempt to try to maintain the lowest possible rate and still, meet 218 requirements, that it's actually based on cost of service. And so I know we can put together a whole packet of information, but, a lot of times when you get a bunch of documents like this, it's a little bit overwhelming. And, especially if you're a manager in a place like that, you're getting packets of stuff like that all the time. You're getting it from insurance companies and all sorts of things. So I just wonder if something that's more handwritten or addressed.
I was actually going to jump ahead. Kathleen has a presentation on our public outreach, and looking at that, what about adding Leslie Garden to our proposed, solicit them if they would like to request a meeting, a speaker? because Kathleen had presented a list of places we could go and do provide a speaker, and it seemed, and I would throw in, I was gonna say it later, but I'll say it now, I'll say it again. I would be glad to volunteer to come along to those, to be a board member there in case, so that it isn't just staff, but it can also be part of the public board listening, if that would be of help. It might be a hindrance. My kids tell me I should be quiet and go back up. All right, so I think that's a good point, and Ken, and I think that it might be just adding that if that was amenable to staff, because I think that's a great idea.
I'd like, well, we'll have to discuss with Patrick.
Well, there's a letter from them on this.
Well,
right?
I mean, I think
The
that-
question is there a possibility of a response to the note, which does what Ken suggests, that simply presents that as in a response to that specific request,
So. if
versus
I'm-
a meeting to the lady there? Can that be done?
So certainly you could do public outreach
Yeah,
and
just-
communicate with Leslie Gardens and explain the basis for the cost of service analysis that went into the rate proposal that is before the board. That is perfectly acceptable. I'm not too sure I'm following the idea of putting a note and where the note would be and what it would say.
Right.
Well, I thought there was going to be a response to that. I thought I heard Mary say that she was putting together a packet of information to send to Leslie Gardens. Did I hear that wrong?
No.
No, just for our public hearing.
Oh, just for our, oh, I'm sorry, I heard it wrong. I thought
Public hearing.
I thought there was already
No,
a
no, no.
response
Let's
going
set a
back.
precedent that,
No, I hear you.
40 letters, 40 responses.
hear you.
I mean,
No, no, I
we can't
agree,
pick
yeah.
and choose who we
Yeah.
choose to respond to, but certainly I think
Public outreach?
the points that are brought up in the various letters, to, and depending how many we get per year, certainly I think it's a great idea, and I think we've done that already, that we do address the points that are brought up in letters at the rate hearing.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm satisfied. I misunderstood.
Okay.
And the focus of the rate proposal is that it's based on the HF&H cost
Right.
of service.
Yeah,
Yes.
which is, but it was tweaked to kind of put, that we discussed with HF&H that it was really important to make sure that our seniors and our low-income rates were as affordable as humanly possible.
Within context.
So
Whoops.
the rate proposal that's before the board is based on a cost of service analysis
Right.
that provides, it factors in a number of considerations. But the bottom line is that the rate proposal is tied to the cost of service.
Yeah,
To provide water to the different tiers
Of use.
of use,
of
yeah.
use.
That makes sense. Okay,
Got it.
good, okay. So now,
Thanks for
do we move
clarifying
on,
that.
do we move on to the public outreach overview?
We're ready? I asked Kathleen to do this in response to President Reynolds' discussion at the February 14th meeting about we need to do more to tell our story. I think that was something that struck a responsive chord with the board. We can always, everybody likes to see pictures, we can always do a better job of telling our story. But I thought it would be useful to talk about what we are doing in public outreach. We're going to do that. I think the challenge for us is always to do it in a way that uses the appropriate amount of resources and is something we're able to sustain, not just kind of a one-time effort, but what can we do that'll be sustainable. So we're working on it. But meanwhile, I thought it would be useful just to come back and talk about what outreach we do, because it is considerable. We are talking to our customers all the time, and I think there's outreach that we're aware of and outreach that is less, the board may not be that familiar with. So I asked Kathleen, who's in charge of our outreach and does a great job of it, to just kind of go through some of the things that we are doing.
Yes, so so my staff report is kind of just a big, overview of the outreach, and I did include a little summary table of some when we hired a consultant in 2011 to help us come up with a communications plan, because at that time, there was also concerns with rate increases. And so we were looking for better ways to communicate and connect with our customers. And just to summarize, so back in 2011, the consultant's communications plan came up with strategies and tasks for staff to try to implement. And so we ended up updating our website, which was a group effort, with the, so it was made more transparent. We tried to make key areas of interest more visible. And that was based on a customer survey we did along with this consultant. So like, one of the important things on our website is how to pay your bill. So how to make that more visible, came up that the customers, wanted to see on our website. Also, we tried to update the images on our website, try to use as much images as we can of specific district service area and infrastructure and that sort of thing. And actually, looking at the website, we probably could update it again with some more images. Also, it was recommended we implement email contact with our customers. We decided using constant contact through like an electronic newsletter format was the best way to do that. So we implemented using constant contact. We created some social media accounts with Facebook and Twitter to try to reach out to customers. Also, we've put effort into public presentations to the community as requested, and tried to do outreach that focuses on infrastructure. And one of what we kind of used was fact sheets for that. So we have, like in the lobby, our fact sheet that's a general overview of the district. We have fact sheets for different projects that we're doing, fact sheet for plan reviews, backflow, things like that. So it's so if a customer needs specific information, they can get that. So so that was basically from the 2011 communications plan that was developed. But we also do direct mailings. We have articles, legal notices, advertisements in the Half Moon Bay Review. We have our lobby here with information, and we have a little bulletin board outside to post things. We participate every year for the Pumpkin Festival as an event to reach out to customers and other people in the Bay Area who come to visit us. Obviously, board meetings are a way to outreach to customers. They can go to our website and watch it if they can't come in person, so that's a good outreach method. We give tours of the Nunes water treatment plant to customers. That's on our website, the little slideshow. And then customer service is kind of overlooked, but our customer service staff, through phone calls and site visits, also provide a good way to communicate with our customers over their water service. So, we just wanted to give the board a basis to have a discussion and share with staff what their thoughts are on our outreach efforts, and if you have ideas, ways to improve our outreach, any specific area or a specific type of tool or methodology for reaching our customers. We know that the website ideas have been brought up, but so basically.
So the question that I have is, this is a pretty extensive list of strategies, and now that this has been in place since 2011, my question is, have we been able to identify which of all of these strategies have been very effective and which have not? For instance, how often are we requested to send a speaker to any of these service clubs or the radio station? often have we used that as that strategy?
Hasn't happened much. I mean, I think that's the real question, what's effective?
Right.
It's easy to put things up on the website, but the fact is that very few people go to our website. And if you think about, how many times have you gone onto the PG&E website to read about all the wonderful capital projects PG&E is doing? It's not going to be very many. So it's how do we really reach our customers? And I think when we talk about reaching our customers, we shouldn't ever forget the investment the district makes in our great customer service people. I mean, you wouldn't believe the stream of people that walk in here constantly. More people walk in the front door than click on our website to do anything other than pay their bill, literally. There aren't very many places where you can walk in and pay your utility bill anymore. And, chat with somebody that you've known for 15 or 20 years, or maybe a relative or something like that. We're like Mayberry. I mean, and that's important in the district's image. There are not very many places where you can call up and say, hey, I think my water meter's leaking, and 10 minutes later, a guy shows up in a truck and looks at your water meter. I mean, we shouldn't underestimate the power of that kind of, commitment to provide service that we invest in to communicate with our customers. And many people, I mean, I even heard Leonard Warren say how great our customer service is. So many people have had those kinds of positive interactions, and to me, those are way more powerful.
Absolutely.
Those are way more powerful than the website. Not that we can't do better, but when we started working with the website, we used to get metrics from Google Metrics, and the number of clicks was so small. When we send out Constant Contact, I think we have 6,000 emails now, something like 6,000 emails.
Yeah, the lot was, well,
So-
6,855.
So we send a Constant
Yeah.
Contact, and Kathleen does a great job of that. Actually, 28% of the people look at that email.
Which is pretty
We can
impressive.
see huge.
Which is, yeah.
Only 3% click through to anything else. But at least, we're getting, so we reach people, and the secret to reaching people is not to try to ring their bell too much. I mean, if you ever got on Santa Clara Valley Water District's email list, after a while, you'd be sending them an unsubscribe, because it's just like, I don't want to know what you guys are doing today.
Just
So
there's water.
I think that's the real challenge for us, is how do we communicate most effectively with our customers? And it's a broad strategy. We tried a number of things. We got active on social media. I think we have 4 Twitter followers.
I was going to say.
No, we have almost 600 Twitter followers. But the problem with that is most of our followers are other public agencies. Not customers.
So it's always a challenge, but one of the great advantages we have, really, I think this is a key to how people feel about us, is the personal interactions that we have. I mean, you can call the general manager and complain about, your bill being $1 too high or something like that, and, he'll actually call you back and talk to you about it. So I think that's, we can always do better, and I think.
Well, if I can interject, I mean, one thing which I think has really been great for us is we have one of our customer service staff now is a Spanish speaker. So, we have a lot of Spanish speakers come in the office, and this has been fantastic. We've also, had some staff changes in the recent years, and I think it's been, I think our desk has been, I think, significantly improved over the, over the last year or so.
I think the key to any of this is not so much how many different venues can we identify, but what's effective. And rather than doing the shotgun approach, I'm not suggesting we are, but rather than doing a shotgun approach, but rather focusing on the areas that we find. So those, like the emails that you sent out the other day, the colorful nature of the email, the format, it caught my eye. And that's the second one of those that's come through in the last month or so, whatever it's been. And it made a difference. It's not it doesn't look like every other email that comes through. It just catches your eye right away. And then I looked at it and I saw what the content was. So maybe if email has been an effective way. If we're getting 28% of our emails are being opened,
That's impressive.
then let's focus our time on emails and the customer service that we're known for.
And to follow up on that point, if the customer service is our best asset, what about doing a post-customer service survey following up? Because, well, if that's what we're doing our best, isn't it important to see if there's something trivial, like, do the staff have little dust booties if they go into somebody's house? Or is there some technique? And it may not be, but, it shows a level of care. Even if we don't get a sort of any significant, no magic bullet, but it shows that this is, and it doesn't need to be done all the time, but maybe it's something every couple of years we follow up with a month of postcards. When we do a customer service, customer contact, we send out a postcard saying, hey, were you happy? If so, tell us if there's something we could do to improve.
We have done that in the
Please tell us.
past.
Okay.
So we could obviously do that again.
And how did it work, Kathleen? What happened?
Didn't get a lot of response. So we did it at paper. They had to mail it back. We gave them a stamp envelope to mail it back. Not everyone did it. But overall it was positive. So the people who did spend the time to return it had positive things to say
good.
in general, yeah.
Okay.
The 6,800 email addresses is what proportion of our total number of users? We have 7,000, 6,000 plus connections. Is it one per connection, or is it, no? It's not the way it's counted, right?
No, and we have,
It's like 50.
so other people sign up for our newspaper for our newsletter who aren't necessarily customers. Anyone can sign up for it via our website. But it is a good portion of our customers.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
so,
it's a
I
good
mean,
point.
that's one of those, and then the
Yeah.
bill stuffers, of course, if we ever do those, is a good.
Yeah, talk about bill stuffers.
Bill stuffers.
Because I think there's
Yeah,
some
they-
misconceptions about
They don't
bill
work?
stuffers.
Yeah, bill stuffers are problematic. Because we're on a bi-monthly bill,
Yeah,
So there's a lot of lead time to work with our
It's a lot of work.
vendor who does the bills. We have to get them the artwork. We either have to print it ourselves and then mail that to them, or send them the artwork and have them print it.
I see.
It's got to go into 2 cycles. It actually goes into 3 cycles.
Right.
One twice over 2 months. Not everyone gets a physical bill anymore.
Right.
They have the online payment, so not everyone gets a physical, so we don't reach all our customers with the bill. If you really want to reach all our customers, you have to do a direct mailing.
okay.
That's-
So it
That's
costs
the
money to
only
do that.
way to reach all, if you wanted to make sure. So there's some regulatory,
Like the 218.
Like
like
for the
the
218
218 and like
Right,
our
agrees,
consumer
right.
confidence reports and. if you-
Quality report.
Yeah.
So,
So,
I mean, it's an option, but it's not a very efficient option, is what you're saying. I mean,
yeah, if we ever went to monthly, which we will.
well, you're gonna go to monthly, right?
billing, it'll
Sure.
be more effective. Still, we wouldn't reach all our customers, but at least we wouldn't be duplicating mailings and stuff for the
And
monthly people.
The review, the paper, does that get a lot of interest? When we put stuff in
We
there?
try to keep our name out of it.
Well, no, I mean, in a positive way, like maybe something to tell them we've done so. I don't know.
We don't get a good,
I think
a great,
doesn't do well, no?
we don't get a great response to
We don't try to sell.
advertisements and.
Well, you're talking
Not
about.
ads, I'm talking about
Trying to come up
an
with news articles.
article about doing, some major infrastructure upgrade that might catch their attention with a nice picture. I mean, I don't know, I'm just.
We could do more of that.
I just,
But that's, but like.
That only
any-
catches a
anything like
certain
that,
proportion.
If you go to an agency like Alameda County, Santa Clara Valley Water District, East Bay
No,
Mud,
it's
there are, rooms of people whose job it is to.
public relations, right, PR.
And here it's sort of it isn't really anybody's job, so.
No, it's,
And we try
It's a
to,
sideline.
I try to cultivate good relationships with those folks so that at least we can mitigate the bad news
Right.
that inevitably happens, and we have a communication channel for that.
But following up on Bob's question, is it of any value, for instance, when we do a major infrastructure project, like the pumping station and the Bridgeport and all that, and the Denniston's upgrades, all that we're doing, to let the newspaper know that that kind of a thing has happened, or the El Granada pipeline when we were working on that, and the impact it's going to have in the community, or does that end up not being
The
worthwhile?
diver photo seems great.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, that seems pretty cool.
Sure.
I'll bet a lot of middle schoolers
It's
would volunteer.
absolutely a good thing. Now, is somebody going to spend the hour or two it'll take to prepare that and send it and follow up? And, that's the issue for us. Now, if we had, somebody that could reliably do that, it'd be great. So, no question, it would be a great thing to do.
Yeah, go ahead, Ken.
I think that the district, over the years that I've watched, has been well-received. I think that Kathleen's done a great job of increasing the contact. I think that the relationships in the community with Coastside County Water District are extremely positive, far more positive than they used to be. I, for one, love the school outreach things that go on, where the kids go up to Nunes Water Treatment Plant, or, there's an activity where, water is discussed with young people. I think that's a great place to put an outreach effort. But I think the district does a marvelous job. And I don't see any lack of transparency or lack of community contact. And I think people feel welcome to come to the meetings when they really have something to talk about. I mean, I think about the only thing we could do is add a pickle barrel out there by the front counter and give people a reason, or a coffee pot, give them a reason to really hang around.
Jelly beans instead of pickles.
But I mean, people do come in and hang around. And I think that's one of the cool things about being on Main Street and, being a walkable location. But I think a lot of this media stuff that's going on, a lot of the electronic things, it's too much. And coming from your water district, you just don't need it. If there's a catastrophe, or there's a real issue, or there's, some shortage, or there's some huge advantage or opportunity, I think it's really cool. But I think you could put a tremendous amount of time, ticker taping around, and I think people are overwhelmed with it. I mean, we all carry phones, and, everybody's getting a lot more communication than they're probably really interested in. But I think the one-on-one, the human contact, I think when people go up and meet with Joe, or, something like that, or remember we had that water day where we bust people up, and, I mean, I think that those are the things where it's flesh on flesh that really make a difference with people. And I think, we have a problem with our water meter, just like Dave said. The guy's out there, in a couple of hours, and he's nice, and he's friendly, he knows what the hell's going on. And I mean, I think we do a marvelous job. I really honestly do. And I think during all this water conservation effort, Kathleen's been out there everywhere. I think people understood that, to cut back and how to do it. And so I think adding, tasks, or looking for additional tasks, I think electronic communication is just gone over the top. I mean, that's my honest belief. I think it's just almost crazy.
Well,
I think-
I'll come back to it was already touched on, Dave touched on it. One ring. I challenge anybody to call this district and let it go for 2 rings. Doesn't happen. It's 1 ring, human contact. Where else does that exist? And that's something we should never change. And that's going to be the first instinct when something really goes wrong. They're not going to go to the website. They're going to pick up the phone and call. So I think we're doing it all right. I shouldn't need to go delve into the electronic world. I think we're touching. We're hitting the high points of the electronic world, which is clearly where we're going. But boy, let's not change the basics at all.
I think it's a
The
great
basics
point.
are working well for us.
Yep, good point. Anything else? Bob, anything else?
No, other than second Ken and Chris, I think it changed a lot in the last 5-6 years, and it's only been in a positive direction. I remember what it was before we did the analysis, and what it is now is like an order of magnitude, and I think we should continue to do what we think we're doing well, and where the bang for the buck is, and all things being considered, this district is still the least, the most transparent one on the coast, I think, and it's been because of that kind of effort and the things that we do.
Kathleen, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, let's move on to the esteemed law firm of Hanson and Bridget.
No. Thank you, Kathleen. Setting the right tone for this. I take it, Dave, this is mine.
You better go, maybe you better go up to the podium.
If you'd like me to, I'm happy to.
Dave's leaving the room, I think.
And I don't blame him. So my relationship is with the board, so this is something that comes to the board. And you have a memo in the agenda packet. I thought I'd just take this as an opportunity to just provide just some historical context for the memo. First of all, I just want to say how honored I am and what a pleasure it is for me personally to be able to be the general counsel for this district, having grown up in the community. Super special to me to be able to come here, my kind of hometown. And our firm has had a long-standing relationship with the district. It's one of the things so I'm now the section leader of the government section, and we had a retreat last year, and we did a history of the government section. And it turns out that, our firm was founded in 1958, and Coastside became a client of the firm in 1966, so one of our very first public agency clients. Public agency has always been kind of a specialty of Hanson Bridget, and we've been the district's counsel through that time, except for a window of a little less than 10 years. And then in 2008, we came back. And in 2008 is when I actually became the general counsel. It used to be Ray McDevitt before that period of time. He's a longstanding partner of our firm. Before that, I think it was Dave Miller, who's now recently retired from our firm. And before that was Tom Jenkins, who only left because he became a judge at that time. So I think there's only a handful of Hanson Bridget lawyers that has served as your general counsel from Hanson Bridget. And as far as the rates, so, I'm happy to talk about the service. I think we do a great job, both me personally and the firm, but obviously happy to talk about that as well. But I wanted to at least give a historical context to the rates as well. And because of the long-standing relationship we have had as a firm with government agencies, we've always provided discounted rates for our government agency clients. And it used to be, in the old days, it was our standard rates less a 10% discount. And that's how it was for many, many years. And then what happened was the rates in the legal industry at one period of time just continued to climb. And I think if you look today at some attorneys' rates, they're, kind of astronomical. They're out of the world. I mean, there's attorneys at firms that are charging $1,000 an hour. And that's just the reality of the legal industry. So a number of years ago, our contract, if you go back and look at the historical contracts between Hanson Bridget and Coastside, you would say our rates are our standard rate less 10%. And then in the 2000s or so, it started to change a little bit. It'd be not less than 10% because we as a firm realized that a 10% discount off of our standard rates was really too high for our public agency clients. And even more historically is the rates would be lower for our general counsel attorneys versus our specialists. And so just to give a little more background on our firm is broken into really 6 sections. And government section is one of them. And the attorneys in the government section historically used to be the attorneys that provided general counsel service to our public agency clients. That has kind of grown a little bit because we don't just do now general counsel services for public agencies, we do a lot of special counsel work. And a number of the attorneys in the government section provide that special counsel work to other government entities. But we also have litigators, a litigation section, a labor and employment section, a corporate section, a real estate and construction section. And each of those attorneys have specialties, specialized expertise. And they often provide service to our public agency clients as well. And so there was a period of time where those of us like me who provide general counsel services, our rates were discounted at a steeper amount than our employee benefits or our litigators or our construction attorneys. And that's kind of where we've been for a while, and it's based on individual attorneys, what their rates are, and some discount on that. And one of the things that we've started to see, and we have lots of different relationships with public agency clients and lots of different rate structures. And one of the things that, as I started to think about this, and a number of our public agency clients are going, is rather than focusing on the individual attorney, we focus on partners, senior counsel, and associates based on the level of expertise. And saying if a partner is doing these kinds of services, this will be their rate. And if it's a senior counsel, it will be this rate. And if it's an associate, it will be this rate. And then there are some carve-outs to that for our public agency clients. And here in the proposal is two. One is litigation. If you get involved in litigation, active litigation, whether the district is a plaintiff pursuing that, and that might be in the context of like condemnation or eminent domain where we're initiating litigation, or we're defending litigation. We would have specialists come in and they would be at a higher rate. And the other one is employee benefits. And there has been some work here in this area, and we do, our employee benefits attorneys provide services to both public agencies and private clients. And so we're proposing that as well. This isn't the only one. This is one that's pretty common among our public agency clients. And this is what I'm proposing we go to. Just so you know, the universe of this, I mean, some of our larger transit clients, they have a blended rate where regardless of, they don't break it down into partners, senior counsel, or associates. It's whoever works on it, this is the rate.
Interesting, okay.
So the most senior partner in the firm or the first-year associate, their rate is exactly the same.
The Hanson-Bridget rate.
It's the Hanson-Bridget rate. And that may be coupled with a retainer. So we're going to provide all the services within this category for X dollars. And anything that's over that, we eat. Anything that's under that, it comes out and it balances out. It's easier to do that with a long history. And it's also easier to do that when there's high volume. Consistently high volume. But that's just another approach. And so as I started to think about our rates, and by the way, so in 2008, we entered into an agreement where we identified 3 attorneys. And at that time, Ray McDevitt was still with our firm. He's since retired. His was one of the rates. Mine was one of the rates, and Allison Schutte was one of the rates. We were kind of the team that we envisioned doing the work. And what has happened is Ray is retired. Allison is general counsel for Bauska, some of you know that. And so I'm doing, I would say, 80 to 90% of the work for the district. And so I'm proposing to move away from that and go, okay, for any partner outside of these, we would do this. So that's kind of the overview. I'm happy to answer any questions. I just want to provide that context to you.
Thank you.
In addition to this memo.
Thanks. Chris?
No, I mean, seeing the differential, I mean, I don't talk to my real estate attorney very much anymore because he's at the, closer to the standard rate, so talking to an attorney for $302 is a relative bargain these days. I mean, but having been here as long as I have, I do remember the days, you know, the $190. I think Tony, it was ABC law. I think they were in that 190 to 200. So yeah, I mean, but I've been here a long time, and you know, the math works, and I do, you know, like I said a minute ago, you know, I'm privy to real world attorney pricing, and so in the greater scheme of things, it's a relative bargain, and we have. Yeah, and I do probably prefer working with a larger law firm in that should specialty questions arise, there's someone within the firm, you get on the, on the horn to one of his partners, because it's getting more and more complicated, as we saw earlier today at our 6 o'clock meeting, that, need access to people who are highly specialized. So that's the value to me of a large firm. And, you know, we're all locals, and we're trying to do the best work in a community in which we know and love. And there is a value there, you know. I mean, there is value to have, you know, you were raised here like I was, and can't put a dollar amount on it, but I can certainly put a value on it.
I'm okay with it.
Bob? A couple technical questions. I was going to ask what percent of the work done by the firm is done by you, between 85 and 90, you say?
Yeah, on a general
Yeah,
basis,
it's mostly you.
It's mostly me.
About 90%.
When there's different issues, there's been, if you look back historically,
Sure.
there's been some labor
Right.
work that's
I
been
understand.
done, and so we'd have a labor council. Employee benefits, we have employee benefits council.
Year one begins July?
July
Okay.
1.
And year two, the following July. And your 302 goes to 325, then 335, then 350.
Correct, that's
Okay.
the proposal.
And then technically, the employee benefits rate, I'm just interested, is higher than
it's
both
interesting.
the general services and litigation. Why is that? Is that because it's a tougher, just different skill sets or what?
It's a very specialized area.
Hmm.
And when we try to think about, well, what are the specialized areas and where are there, you know, they're just in such high demand these days, and it's so specialized, that's why we distinguish between the
Sure.
general counsel, the litigation, and employee benefits.
Any question for Mary, simply that if in fact the cost per, an annual cost, for example, were 100K for the use of our litigation, our attorney services, this increase would result in approximately what percent increase in our billing for the year?
Yeah, we haven't talked about that, but I think, when I look back historically, and we've had a CPI increase
sure.
that has gone in, and when I've looked at the kind of the amount over, and I looked at this, and Dave, I should provide, David, Mary, I should
Yeah,
provide
sure.
this to you, I just got this today, I asked for a 5-year spreadsheet of the amount.
Sure.
It was very consistent.
Right.
Even though the rates have changed and different attorneys have been doing it at different rates, it was actually between 70 and 100,000
Right.
for the past 5 years, with a spike in 2016. Because there was a lot going on in 2016.
Right.
But the 4 years before that were in that range. I would envision that it wouldn't impact the budget that's proposed
Okay, I
to
just-
you, absent something,
Okay.
a big issue coming up, because one of the things that I think Dave and I have been really good at is trying to use legal services efficiently and effectively.
Didn't seem like it
Dave's
would.
been very good about, hey, this is an issue where I don't think we need
Right.
legal input, and I think I'm pretty good at asking Dave, saying, hey, Dave, here's the background, do you think we should be spending legal time on it? And he'll make the judgment call whether or not. So I think the communication between Dave and I has been very good. And I'm speaking from my perspective, I'll let Dave answer as well.
I agree, I think it's been, I just
Ken,
checked.
any thoughts, Ken?
Well, I want to tell you, when Ray McDevitt retired, I was really concerned. And we went through kind of a wild time, and we ended up with Kandati. Kandati did a great job for us. He did a great job for the city of Half Bay as well. And he was a bargain. He was a bargain. But I personally was an advocate of trying to get Hans and Bridget back at the time, and I still feel that way. And of course, I'd hoped that it would be Ray, and no offense, but Ray's, just a really connected guy. But what I've enjoyed about having Patrick back is his great sense of humor, of course, but in terms of providing legal services, I think he's done a great job of getting us through some difficult situations. I think his advice has been sage. I think he's kept us out of a lot of difficulties that we might have found ourselves treading in. The rates that I see these days in the legal world are frightening. And so I think the rates that were being demonstrated are reasonable. They're in the middle, in my opinion. And I think that the quality of the service, having local background, is a wonderful part of having Patrick involved. I know he's involved in in other districts, and I know he's involved in the, the whole legislative world, and so I feel that he's really got his finger on the right pulse. I think that all the people that have come in, the other attorney that substitutes for Patrick when he's gone, I've been really pleased with the results of working with that individual. I think the rights attorney that we've been working with via telephone, with some of our conflicts, I think has been really good. So I feel we've gotten great support. I think the other thing is there's a terrific rapport and a history with Patrick, and I think that there's a lot of value to that. And, especially as we transition going forward in the staffing of the district, I think we've got somebody who could, like Kandati did, step in and help us in a time that was tough. Kandati ran the district, I think, for almost a year as a stand-in when the general manager left, and that's pretty amazing to have your attorney step in. But I think Patrick would be able to give us a hand with things like that as well. And so I'm comfortable with it. I don't ever like to see rate increases of any type. And I'd much rather see a lower rate, but I don't want to jeopardize the quality of the service that we require. And I think Patrick has provided, and I just don't see those rates as out of line. I don't mean to be so long-winded, but that's my feeling.
In my day job, I spend a lot of my days in municipal public utility districts, and I'm extremely proud that the legal representation that we get at Coastside County is, in my opinion, significantly better than what I see at other agencies. And so I'm very proud that our council is clearly knows the material and knows water utilities very well. And I am very appreciative of our getting a 20 to 45% discount. And I have a legal question. Do we make a motion on this?
That's a great question.
We didn't say it was going to be a positive.
Yeah.
Do we have to pay you to tell us whether to vote to pay you more?
Seems like a conflict of
No, I will.
interest.
It does seem like a conflict of
Rate
interest.
changes.
But, so, there's two ways we can, we do need to amend the agreement.
Right.
With our law firm, because right now it's based on individual attorney rates. And so what I would propose, there's two ways to go about it. I could work with your general manager, I could prepare the amendment to the agreement, we could put it back on the agenda, and you could approve the amendment. Or you could approve this structure, and you could delegate to your president, the general manager, and legal counsel to come up with with an amendment that reflects that.
I like
So
that
either
one
approach.
because it doesn't have to come back to the board, and I think the discussion leads us that we're all in favor, so. let's-
Wouldn't it still have to come back? Could it come back on consent calendar since we've already had the public conversation?
It could, that would be another way.
What's the easiest, least effort up for staff?
I think number 2.
Okay, so,
Authorize the,
yeah, so- So-
approve the rate structure, authorize the general manager to work
okay.
with council to.
And the president.
I'd
and the
like,
president.
Can
I'd
we
like
do
to
that?
make a motion that we approve this rate structure and have the general manager work out an agreement, an amendment to our agreement with Hanson and Bridget. And
I just have a point of information then.
yes,
Legally, because it's on the agenda under general business, does that automatically make it subject to action by the board?
Yeah, it could be, anything on your agenda could be acted on, unless it says discussion only, then I say from a Brown Act perspective.
That's what I was wondering. Okay.
yeah. We need a second.
I second that.
Okay. And Joanne, at your convenience, a
Yes.
roll call.
Director Coverdell?
Aye.
Vice President Feldman?
Yes.
Director Glassberg?
Yes.
Director Michelson?
Yes.
President
Aye.
Reynolds? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, and thank you for the kind words.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
And of course, you'll prepare that document.
Of course. Anything related, this memo was no charge. My due diligence was no charge. Anything related to a Hanson Bridget contract is at no charge. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to say that.
Just curious.
Ken. Would never have thought of that.
All right. Mary, we have a approval to retain Fedek Brown LLP from Financial Auditing.
So we have had the same audit firm since 2009, JJA, Joe Arch and
Yes.
Associates, CPA.
Really tall guy.
Yeah, and, they've provided wonderful service. I've had no issues with working with them, and, I hate to even have to bring, this forward, but, best practices for special districts really have you changing your auditors every 5 years. And so, we're going to, bite the bullet this year, and we recommend going and moving forward with changing our auditors. So we went out, and I had 3 proposals in evaluating, what the, the proposals and what, experience and, particularly with special districts. I'm, recommending that we go with this Fedek and Brown. They do a lot of water districts. They do, I checked references. They do Scotts Valley. They do Westboro, Prisma Hills. They are based in Southern California, but they have a growing practice in the Bay Area, and they are very willing to attend board meetings and, do, and provide services, and show, come here, because they are, they do have staff up here quite often, so.
Okay. Chris, any questions?
No, I knew we're running over our 5 years, and again, having been here is a little while, I knew it was clearly due. So this is just something that you do. So this could have been on consent as far as I'm concerned. Clearly, they've been vetted.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. What did we pay for our 2016 audit?
Like 15,600.
So this is
It's-
actually even a little bit less? Okay.
It's competitive.
Competitive, okay. And I know that with a services contract like this, cost is not the only consideration, but how did the other 2 proposals compare in cost?
The other 2, one was fairly comparable, maybe a couple thousand more, but again, it is time and materials. And then one was way high. So and I think largely, I don't think they wanted the business, so.
Fair enough.
And am I reading correctly in the letter to you from Christopher Brown? Out-of-pocket expenses are included in this amount? I'm thinking about travel, cost
Yeah,
of
that's
flying up.
what it
and-
Yes, that's what he.
That's included,
Yeah.
okay, so I did read that correctly. The one thing I couldn't figure out from their proposal, which is a pretty standard proposal, is who's going to do our audit?
Well, they have a main contact of Mr. Brown.
They have a make,
Yeah, but who's going to do our audit? I mean,
And then we have-
Have they disclosed that yet?
They sure gave us a lot of resumes.
yeah, they gave us resumes. I think it's, what did he say? I think it's likely going to be this Jeff Palmer or Andy Beck. They're in the, what they want to do is combine the work with, when they do like Westboro and Prisma Hills
sense.
and, they can, and Scotts Valley. So that's what basically that we would be having the same.
Because that can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
I mean, you get these glowing references from someplace, but
No.
that person may not be our auditor.
Yeah, well,
So-
but that's where I did speak to, let's say, the local, our Scotts Valley,
Yeah.
and they had, rave reviews, said they were very efficient. They came in and out and just, and they're very professional and good experience with the board.
So hopefully we'll get the same auditors that they got.
Right.
And then the only other thing I wanted to just kind of make a comment that when you change auditors, it's common to have findings in the first audit, so we should just kind of be prepared, and whenever we get on November or whenever it is, that there will probably be some findings, not necessarily material. I don't anticipate that they would find any material findings in our district, but Just be prepared. There'll
Yeah.
probably be a few little minor internal control issues or something.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to change auditors,
Yeah.
because it's also a lot more work, but
Just, you have to orient them to the
Yeah.
district and the system.
So they'll be doing it for this year, this last year?
Right.
Right, gotcha.
Any questions, Bob?
No, no, I
Ken?
agree.
Can you find out if they'll be able to write a more positive letter when they... I'd like to have that
knew that was
written, I'd
coming.
like that written into the agreement, actually.
You have to read audit speak, which
Yeah,
is if they don't find
unfortunately,
anything that's
no.
really positive.
We have a negative
I'm not going with
declaration.
that. I'm going to change on it.
I move
All
to
right.
approve the financial auditing services agreement with Fedek and Brown.
I'll second it. Joanne?
Yes. Dr. Coverdell?
Aye.
Vice President Feldman?
Yes.
Dr. Glassberg?
Aye.
Director Michelson?
Aye. Yes.
President Reynolds? Thank you.
All right, Mary.
okay. Well, I know we're getting late. I do have pictures, so,
Oh, good. I like pictures.
All right.
well, one charter. I wanted to let everyone know, give you an update on, it's the other PowerPoint. There's two at the bottom. If you just click at the bottom,
Oh,
you'll
this
find the
one.
other,
Yeah,
you'll
yeah.
find the other one.
this one,
Yeah.
that's what happened.
You just have to get rid of that page.
And then,
I'm still not there, am I?
You're getting warmer.
There we go.
then if you, yeah. I mean, this is.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've shown this before, but this is, we have 6 of our 9 DCUs up. And these are data collection units which collect the radio reads. And we have 3 more to go. One will go on to, El Granada Tank 3. The 2 other ones are to be determined.
It's done.
So we're having on 9, is it?
Gorgeous.
Yeah, what? But anyway, we might, we're trying to figure out what we do with Highway 92. We might have solved the problem with raising an antenna on Nunes, but you just move forward, we'll just go. So we have now, as of today, 640 meters in the ground, and these MTUs with radio reads. We actually were able to do 3 routes in our billing last month without, which I think with John Davis's, and the guys are happy. It's 3 less routes to do meter reads on. So we're moving forward, and I think you can, and we've also have this. There's a, Clara has this software. It's not super user-friendly, but it is software that we can use to monitor and to monitor for leaks. These are a few pictures of showing, the meter, and then what we do is the antenna connects to the top of the lid, and then then we program it. So so it's there. You can go on to the next one, and we have a little a tough pad we're programming. So we've had some blips, but it's moving. We're getting the hang of this and moving forward. With the reporting right now within the Aclara system, we can monitor for constant consumption, which might mean a leak, or abnormal consumption. If all of a sudden somebody has a burst pipe in their house, we might be able to catch it. And also there's some, reports from negative consumption. We are, looking for, we have narrowed down to 2 companies that will have data analytics, and, eventually at some point, if we wanted to move forward, we could have a customer portal site, but, we're going first with understanding it ourselves, and then, and then being able to get information that we could send out to customers if they have a leak, email them information. And there's a lot of, it's a lot of kind of cool things. This is just one thing. So this is something that we get out of Aclara. This is an example where all of us, all of a sudden, if you look at, this is over a several day period, but what happened, this showed up on our constant consumption report, and you'll see that the consumption never goes to zero, starting around the, the 6th of May. And so this person, and so they are losing about 9 gallons an hour. So this is a leak that we can contact our customer about.
That's cool.
So anyway, it's,
So you-
we're moving forward.
You've done about 10% of all the meters up on 640? I don't know how many we're replacing,
Yeah.
6,000?
Yeah, they were the easier ones.
no, but
Yeah, but they
you're-
were, but yes, we're
We're starting to ramp up, make some progress.
making progress.
Do we notify the customer that we've replaced their meter, or is that, I assume we have no obligation to do that because it's our meter, but,
Generally, no.
okay.
We let them know that we're turning off their water.
Hmm.
We're actually doing it.
That's helpful.
I love a shower.
Yeah.
How long does it take to do one, sir?
I'm not exactly sure how long it is. Do you have a clue?
Again, it depends on.
Depends on the
the-
rain.
Yeah, if they have to, how much they have to dig out the box.
Okay, but a standard, I mean,
I mean, if,
I'll say, what, half an hour?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, probably that.
half an hour now.
But again, it's part of the work is the prep work.
No, I understand. Yeah. Well, no, it sounds like it's making,
Yeah, it took Logan to change someone over at Coastal Repertory Theater. It took him about 20 minutes. Because there's just a physical changing of the meter, and then you have to program it.
at one point, we talked about a customer service expert, someone who was going to be really well versed in this, is he on board and all that kind of stuff? Yeah.
Yep.
He's going to be like our pro on this thing, right?
Yeah, so we have a customer service technician who's largely right now doing the, a lot of the customer facing, going out and.
Okay, no, so that's
Right
in
now, but
process
they're,
as well.
he's learning the system, and he's going to be the one
He's
who's
the man
monitoring
on
his
the-
reports every day.
He's on the
Yeah.
point.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, very good, thank you. And we have the Superintendent of Operations report.
Whatever thunder hasn't been stolen.
Yeah, sorry. But I did notice in there, Joe, you've snuck your retirement announcement in there. That was kind of quiet, yep, you said, it's,
Call that.
yeah, well,
CWWA.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, meeting tomorrow or 2 days. In any event, Bridgeport Transmission Main is in service. Today was a significant day in that we were able to achieve our goal of reducing the pressure in Cooper Ridge. And the reason why this is significant is because now we could raise the rates at Denniston. We did raise the rate up, we were running it at 600 for a little while there. Before last week, or in the past weeks, but the pressure down there was really high, and so we backed off because we didn't want to cause any kind of collateral damage with the main rate. But now that we have that under control and the pressure down to about 90 from 120, we can run Denniston, and it runs well. So this is good. This is a really good thing with that, and even with our temporary pump, we were able to push water south.
good.
So this was a good thing, and so we're kind of jazzed about it. Denniston continues to run really well. And my kudos to the treatment staff for keeping it running as good as it does. Two other items I just want to mention, the El Granada Tank 3 rehab project. I had thought we were getting close to the time allotment for that, but we have a number of change orders that added days to the original contract, and we're actually on schedule with that, and it should be all complete by the first of the fiscal year, by the beginning of July. that project will be complete. There was a number of problems we found with that. The tank wall, the thickness of the tank wall up by the side vents was deteriorating, and actually, when the sandblasters were blasting it, it just punched right through that shell. So, we have to fortify the area underneath those vents. A wall collapsed on the property up from us, at the higher elevation from us. So we have to, get a block wall, an engineered wall in there, little things like that. And, it's really hard to work in that tiny spot. I have to give these guys a lot of credit for being able to work on all of that. So, once it's complete, we're gonna do the hydropneumatic tank too. The site should look as tidy or tidier than El Granada Tank 2. I don't know if you've been up to that site, but that used to be a pretty much of an eyesore. Now it's like a shining example of what we could do to these little parcels that we have out there. And the third thing I want to mention is that through a lot of persistence, and I didn't mention it in my report because it came in after I completed my report, is that the California Fish and Wildlife finally relented and gave us permission to dredge.
Good.
Wow. So we have
And
been
that's
getting
great.
the official word on that sometime in June.
Good.
This is a 5-year permit.
Same
How much-
volume?
How much?
Same
volume?
volume, and that's really important because, when we dredge, we actually dug a kind of a big hole under the reservoir by where the creek joins the reservoir. And now that's just a sheet flow of like 2 inches over all the sand that accumulated in that pit.
That's good.
Quite a good thing. So, if you have any questions on anything else in
Did
my report.
they gave you permission because you showed great respect for the red-legged frog that was in the pump station?
Yeah.
I don't think they knew about that.
Yeah, but that might
they know
probably
that
would
we
help.
respect the
Shut
frog
down the
and
pump
snake a lot.
station if
Huh?
they probably would have shut down the pump station if they heard about that.
Actually, the
No,
project
he
is
shut it down.
for,
They did shut it down. No,
a
that's what I'm
while.
saying. He shut it down.
So we got the
Gracefully
the frog
removed the
whisperer.
red-legged
We-
frog.
We called it the frog whisperer,
The frog
and
was,
he got him out of there.
I love it.
How many yards is the dredging?
About 450,
Yeah, so it's not very much, really.
It's not very,
Good for you.
give or take,
Yeah. Congratulations.
Yep.
just persistence. It's
Yeah.
just persistence.
Yeah.
And
Congratulations.
I gotta give a lot of credit. I mean, Jim Steele, our biologist, has been mentoring me. through
He's a
this
great
process.
guy.
Yeah, I like him. Common sense guy.
Well, he's realistic.
Yeah.
I mean,
Good.
last is not least in this agenda, because although it's the back end of the agenda, all the things that are on it are usually pretty significant things that you've done. And so, once again, need to commend you and your staff and the folks that do all this, that keep us whole in the district here. There's no question about it. It's sort of buried in here a little bit, tree falls and all kinds of things that happen, and you guys step up and do it,
I
always.
give most of the credit to my staff. I mainly push papers and kind of direct them where to go.
Well,
They're really, like, I've been in the business for, God, it's almost approaching 40 years. It's the best staff I've ever worked with.
Nice.
well, thank you.
Very good. Anything else? All right, how about we close the meeting?
What a plan.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you all.
Well, congratulations, young man.